Citizen Kane, but even critics have claimed that it was shit in its day. Some films are shit and shit they will stay, but some get better over time because of Nicolas Cage. So which film stays shit forever? And which one's got a little bit better? Second chance movies. No poor bloods were harmed in the making of this podcast.
Welcome to Second Chance Movies, the podcast where we rewatch movies and decide if they deserve a second chance.
I'm Joe Harper, your host who loves rewatching movies and has only rode a motorcycle once.
And I'm Jessica Quaz, your host who's a one-and-done kind of movie viewer who you will never find on a motorcycle.
Wow.
Yeah, no thanks. No thanks. And today we are giving a second chance to 2007's Ghost Rider.
Yes. All right, guys. This is it. We took a suggestion from you, the audience. Shout out to Manny. He suggested Ghost Rider. So fans out there, if you have any movie suggestions, we listen to you.
Hey, we watched G League, someone asked us to. We will watch whatever you want us to watch. The bar is pretty low. Before we get started on this episode and talking about Nicolas Cage and Ghost Rider, let's talk about some things that we recently had our first chances with. Joe, what are some new things you've watched recently?
All right. This week, I attacked the library viciously for some new DVDs. Newer to the library. I finally got around to watching House of Gucci and Red Rocket.
Oh, okay. So both were, big last year. I know like a lot of people wanted Red Rocket to be up for awards, but it wasn't. And Gucci, I believe was, but everyone was like, it shouldn't really have been. So what were your thoughts?
I thought almost exactly those things. House of Gucci is one of those things that I'm so surprised got the attention it did, because Ridley Scott made two movies that year that I'm aware of. The Last Duel and I can't even remember the name of the movie. House of Gucci. And House of Gucci is just really boring. There's not much of substance that I'm not intrigued, interested in all what's happening. It just falls really flat for me.
What's really weird, I haven't seen House of Gucci yet, but I'm aware of the case. Like I know all the details. And the story of the case itself is bonkers. Like it's a fascinating and really weird story.
There was meat and potatoes that could be there that just weren't. And and everyone is doing really goofy accents. It's something. Red Rocket, oh my goodness. If you've seen any other Sean Baker movies, same vibe. He really focuses on character and like setting. And that movie is crazy to me because that's where I believe my mom is born in the city where Red Rocket takes place.
Wow.
The subject matter is one that's like, I'm not like rooting for the character, but because Simon Rex is just such like so endearing and like you just want to like root for the guy. It's mixed feelings throughout the entire thing, and I love that. He's definitely someone I think should have been nominated for the Oscar, and after seeing the results, I think he's the one that should have gotten the Oscar. The only other thing I know him from is Scary Movie 3.
Yep.
And the fact that he's in Red Rocket giving us this performance, I just really like it. He's brave. He's doing it.
Who won Best Actor?
Will Smith?
Oh, God, that's right.
It was like one of the biggest stories that took over everything that else was way more important, but nope, everyone had to talk about the slap.
Well, I mean, yeah, I definitely forgot he won.
Yeah.
That's not why I was talking about him, that's for sure. Well, I have also watched some new stuff too, one of which being Abbott Elementary. Finally started watching it. It is so just like nice. Like it's so funny and sweet and just like a nice like energy that I could use sometimes in my life. So I really like it. I see why it's definitely like the most talked about show of last year because it's wonderful. It's nice to just see something that's so funny and not super cynical as well. I really enjoy that aspect to it. And then relevant to our conversation today, one of the things I watched recently was actually Thor: Love and Thunder. Don't want to get too much into the plot because it is very new and maybe a lot of people are still waiting to see it. I really enjoyed it. Thor's always been my favorite Avenger, even back in the day when his movies weren't too good. So like I like Thor a lot. And the first post-credit scene, wow, wow, wow,
La la
wow, wow,
la la
wow.
la 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 la.
That's all I'll say.
La 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 la. Are you done?
That's all I'll say is wow. I'm excited
La
to see
la
what's
la
up.
la la. Are you done?
Yes, I will not say anything further.
Oh
I
my
didn't
God.
even say anything spoilery at all.
I am so sorry, fans. I had to do that for all of us who have not seen it on the opening weekend.
Well, let's get into our guy, Ghost Rider.
Big spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about this movie. So if you don't want it spoiled, tough. I know I made a huge ass of myself earlier making noises when Jessica was just mentioning Thor stuff. But this is different. This movie
Very
came out
different.
in 2007. For those of you who do not remember, or those of you who have forgotten the plot, the synopsis, IMDb says, when motorcycle rider Johnny Blaze sells his soul to the devil to save his father's life, he is transformed into the Ghost Rider, the devil's own bounty hunter, and is sent to hunt down sinners. Do you think that accurately describes this movie?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess.
So
Except that last part.
Here's
Yeah.
here's the issue I have. I watched this movie last week. I have already forgotten most of this. I agree that he made a deal with the devil. That
He
goes
sure
south.
does. Yep.
He's supposed to be the devil's bounty hunter, but I don't really remember him tracking too many sinful people down of like I don't remember him doing much bidding for the devil.
I do not either at all. I remember him kind of being like, wait, that's what I'm supposed to do? Oh, but like, and some bad guys like come to him.
And
but
then we have another bad guy, Blackheart, which
is that Wes Bentley?
Which is West American Beauty's in this.
Yeah.
And he's just sucking the soul out of everyone.
Yep.
It's super weird. Just absorbs them and just dips. I'm like, okay, that's a weird power. Also, I made it a double feature.
Oh, you did.
Not only did I watch Ghost Rider, I watched Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance.
Wow.
The sequel that was made like 8 years later.
Oh wow. Okay, you're gonna have to fill us in on what that was like. I'm very curious to hear that experience. Before we get into that, Joe, do you remember your first time with Ghost Rider, the first one?
No. I watched it probably when it came on DVD. I did not care to see it in the theaters. I was like, okay, that's another. We were in there getting in our superhero fatigue. We had seen like the Fantastic Fours. I think I watched both of those in the theater. We had seen a lot of Spider-Man at this point. And I think I was getting kind of, I think we had Blades. We had a Hulk. We had Ang Lee Hulk.
Oh, yeah.
I was just kind of getting exhausted of Marvel. Hadn't like, I liked it, but I was like, okay, guys, I get it. Anyway, I probably saw it on DVD. And I have not watched it since.
Wow, so this is your second time.
It was my true second. It just didn't wow me. And like the others, I've seen the others multiple. Oh, those X-Men movies. Yeah, man, I watched all those a lot. Spider-Man's a lot. This is one of the few Marvel products I just watched one and done.
Okay. I mean, this is also my second chance with it. I do remember also like seeing it on DVD as a kid and being like, hey, this is cool. Whoa. Just the excitement of the visuals at the time and all that kind of thing. But like, I also agree it didn't like stick with me at all. It wasn't like one of those ones that I'd be like, I gotta watch this again. This was rad as hell. I just remember as a kid being like, cool, flames, woo.
I also have not. I had never seen the sequel because of how I felt about the first one. I was like, I don't need to see the second one. I always thought it looked visually better. I was like, ooh, those graphics look a little better. Didn't watch it until now.
Oh shit. Since we've said our first chances with this movie, let's hear what some other people had to say about their first time with Ghost Rider.
Kicking it off, we're going to let you know what the Rotten Tomatoes scores are. 26.
Oh.
The audience score is 48. So both are low. The critics were a bit rougher on this movie.
Both are not great.
Neither are good.
Neither are good.
One's bad. One's real bad.
Yeah.
All
wow.
Right. Well, let's kick it off with a positive because, hey, let's show this movie some love.
Yeah, let's be nice, you know?
Megan Bosham of World. This strange amalgamation of Texas Ranger lore, NASCAR bravado, and the devil and the Daniel Webster trickery keeps the campy fun revving just enough that you can't completely hate it.
I do agree with that last part, that there is some weird sort of campy fun to it where I don't completely write it off and think it's the worst thing ever. The vibes are interesting. Like all those things she listed, it is sort of an amalgamation of a bunch of different things that like weirdly mesh together well, I guess.
So the wife watched this with me.
Oh.
And within the first minute, she turned to me, glaring at me, and said, "Is this another Western you've tricked me into seeing?" She does not like Westerns. And I, being from Texas, I like my Westerns. And you know what? She was not happy. She was like, "This better not be a Western." I was like, it's not going to be a Western the whole time because it's Nic Cage doing stunt work on a bike. So give it a second.
The opening is very different from like the rest of the movie entirely. Like the vibe is different. Also super weird that we open with Sam Elliott's voiceover and not like
Nic
our
Cage.
lead.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a choice.
I also like too that like Sam Elliott just right away is like, "Hey, you want to know what a Ghost Rider is? Here you go." And just like, boom, here's the explanation of what you're about to see.
Sometimes the thing about legends is they're true.
Oh.
The whole opening, I was like, "Oh, what are we doing?"
I know, and I do like Sam Elliott's voice, but it's just like, this is bizarre as hell. I don't know what I'm. Okay.
It's too much narration that's not necessary.
Yeah.
From a character that's not the lead.
He's not. He's like us supporting.
We'll get into the. Oh my goodness. He's okay.
Anyway, William Thomas with Empire Magazine said, "A blockbuster that offers enough quirky pleasures to feel fresh and unpredictable."
It's hard for me to judge that because I am living in 2022 where we've seen a lot of superhero movies, and this is the tail end of superhero before we get MCU.
Right, the dark times.
This is like the last one we get before we get Iron Man that kicks off. We're good movies again.
So I think that like as like not super comic book fan, I do think that Ghost Rider in general is like fresh and interesting, and I think had this movie been like made nowadays, it could have been really special and unpredictable. But you're right, like it does fit in this weird sort of mold of like it doesn't feel unpredictable because I've seen the other superhero movies of that time and they're not going to like go too far out of the box. Jan Stewart with Newsday, "Surprised as I am to concede it, Ghost Rider smokes."
She was trying really hard for that pun. It puts the pedal to the metal. Luke Y. Thompson of E! Online. "Seriously, people, if you're going to see a movie you know is about a biker with a flaming skull and magic chains, you forfeit the right to complain about how the plot isn't logical or realistic." You know what?
Yeah.
That's fair. I agree.
Yeah.
I knew what I'm doing.
I know what I got into. This is a wild time. All bets are off, I guess.
Nic Cage is one of our most unpredictably wild actors of our time. I was hoping for Nic Cage performance, and you know what? This is his least Nic Cage's Cage performance.
I would agree. He's very tame in this.
I almost wish it was more unrealistic or illogical.
Well, that wraps up the positive reviews.
There weren't very many to choose from.
No, there were sure not. let's start shitting on Ghost Rider with some negative reviews. Ty Burr of the Boston Globe said, Ghost Rider is the kind of movie that's great, stupid fun, as long as someone else is buying the ticket.
I like that plan.
That's a fun take, yeah. Nicolas Cage is the film's only saving grace in a welter of cheesy, but accurate to the imagery of the Marvel series, special effects, and dialogue.
I don't think he's a saving grace to this movie. I don't think he's doing anything above and beyond. We've seen Cage go above and beyond.
We sure have.
And
We've seen him.
Not it.
No, this is not it. And I think, yeah, like, love the guy so much, but this is just kind of like, meh. It's very bland Cage.
This feels like a paycheck movie.
Yeah, definitely, and that's okay. We gotta eat,
because I think he really wanted to be in a like Marvel or comic movie, because I know he was about to be Superman.
That's right.
So he was really, I'm sure he was really excited. Like, what role can I do? And I feel like this is one of those movies. I think producers, whatever, were just like, "Oh, Cage wants to do it. Let's make it, and we'll fit the script around him." Because I don't feel like he is the right actor for the story they're trying to tell. Tom Meek, Boston Phoenix. If Nicolas Cage weren't a goofball with a hunky physique and droll wit, this Marvel comic to big screen adaptation would have no torque at all.
So one thing that I do think is interesting with Ghost Rider, is that I think to sell this movie, you would need someone with a name like Nic Cage, name recognition, because it's not like an easy sell to just like conceptually for that time period when a lot of the superhero movies were like kind of bubblegum pop type. Because this, that's just what I think.
I feel like you'll get all the comic readers in because Ghost Rider is popular.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just like dude on a motorcycle with a flame skull, super cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I didn't know much about him going in, and quite frankly, I don't really know much about him coming out.
No, nope, just the basics, really.
And I know it's one of those characters I think everyone wants to see pop up in a movie now and done well.
It would be sick now. Yeah, that'd be rad.
Like, the two big names that the fans have been like, yeah, I want him to be in it, or Norman Reedus or Keanu. I don't know if they've aged out yet, because I don't know if they want to start this guy off young, or he's been the Ghost Rider and now the MCU just finally discovered he was the Ghost Rider. I've got only one last negative review.
Okay.
And I think it's the review of all reviews. It's our girl, Nell Minogue.
What does Nell have to say about this movie?
As you know, Nell is my favorite critic.
Of course.
It's our favorite critic here.
Yeah. Love her work.
Nell Minogue, Movie Mom. If Ghost Rider wanted to fetch something of value, he should have been out there looking for a better script.
Ooh. Ooh, sassy.
Oh, yes.
Ooh.
I never disagree with Nell.
All right, let's get into our second chance. Both of ours true second chance with Ghost Rider.
Right off the bat, this is the least Nic Cage's Cage movie I've ever watched.
Yeah.
I was expecting really over the top, and the only thing over the top is like his transformation into the Ghost Rider for the first time, and then from then on, it's just, again, I think it's because we replace his face with a skull, so we don't get to see Cage do what he does best, and it makes me sad.
I agree. It's definitely just like, not that his acting is necessarily bad, it's very bland, especially compared to, again, what we've seen from him. That's one thing that I was like looking forward to the most, was now that I've seen a lot of his really interesting performances of recent years, like what is Ghost Rider like to revisit? I just gotta say, meh, like not much.
My sister and brother-in-law are huge Nic Cage fans, so much to the point that they own every, and when I mean every Nicolas Cage movie on DVD. That is their library of movies. I like to play a game and take a screenshot of the Cage movie I'm watching and send it to them. Name that Cage and see if they can identify it. The image I used is when he's eating a martini glass full of jelly beans in a cowboy hat. And I thought, why would they know what this is? This could be so many of his movies. Within seconds, she goes, "Oh, him in a martini glass of jelly beans? That's Ghost Rider, of course." Oh, couldn't stump her. She knows that Cage too well.
I do have to say, while we're on the topic of Cage, his hair in this movie is so wild. Like, whoever styled this weird ass Caesar cut that's also shaggy, wild times. But I will say his face is very nice and very sculpted. He's got very defined features. You can tell he definitely put a lot of time in the gym for this one. Good for him.
And his character's not like strong, just whips everyone with a chain.
Yeah.
And then sucks their soul out. I don't understand what's going on. Plot-wise, what did you retain from this? The big issue I have is that I think they're trying to tell two different Ghost Rider stories, or they did a disservice by casting Nic Cage, because it should have been just a younger performer, because whoever we have cast as like adult, keep it that, because the intro, that kid plays like younger Johnny Blaze. It goes on for like 30 or 40 minutes.
It goes on for way too long.
That's a prologue. That should be 10 minutes tops and we done.
And I feel like the beginning part where we have younger him is just to really set up the relationship that comes later with Eva Mendes's character. Because like they're young and in love and blah, blah, blah.
And establish how he becomes the Ghost Rider. He made a deal with the devil.
Mm-hmm.
And the devil did that fucking monkey paw bullshit where like, you know, oh yeah, your dad will be cured of cancer, but he's gonna immediately die in a motorcycle accident.
Right.
You know what I wanted? I didn't want him to die. I didn't just not want cancer. Fuck you, piece of shit.
Yeah, but you're right. Like, it goes on for so long. I don't think we need to spend so much time in this universe, because we go into like him as a circus performer with motorcycles.
But then it's like 30 or 40 years later, they're like, devil's like, yep, I want you now.
Right.
What? You didn't need him for that long?
Yeah, what was it?
You would have had his ass doing stuff for you the next day.
I mean, he needs a bounty hunter. Why couldn't he start that soon? Like, you're right, it's super weird. I thought the beginning is interesting to watch, but also felt like super out of place once we get to present day.
Cage.
Yeah. Once Cage shows up, I'm like, we literally could have just started here and done flashbacks or something. Like, speaking of, I do want to say that the cast is pretty wild for this movie. Just the group of people we have. So we have Nic Cage, of course. We have Eva Mendes, sure. Sam Elliott, I guess. Wes Bentley. Okay. And then we have Peter Fonda playing the devil. Is he the devil, right? Demon or devil?
He's listed on IMDb as I'm gonna butcher this name. Because I think it's essentially Mephisto. Mephistopheles is what he's labeled as. But I believe he's Mephisto, which in the Marvel universe is the devil.
Got it.
He is his own character. That is an actual character in the Marvel universe. But I do like that they cast Peter Fonda, because they brought him. I assume they cast him because he is from Easy Rider, which is a big famous motorcycle movie. So it makes sense that we get him to do this. He does not play the devil in the sequel. He was like, no, I hated this. Nope. Yeah. We also had I think one issue I have with this movie is all these actors that are in it. Movies takes place in Texas for the most part. Cage is the only one with the Texas accent or Southern accent.
Yeah.
Why is it set in Texas if we're not all doing that accent? Why do we cast anyone that's not doing this? Why is he the only one doing this accent?
Yeah. And I could forgive like some of the like the Wes Bentley character. Like, yeah, he's a little vampire. Maybe he's not from Texas.
He's not from Texas.
But
that's fine. Him and Mephisto. I'm okay with.
Yeah.
But like his like best friend, that's Donald Logue. He should have an accent.
Right. Ava Mendes definitely should have an accent. She was from there as a kid.
I don't get it.
You're right. I didn't even pick up on that, but you're completely right. That is
something
weird as hell.
Oh, as a former Texan, I should hearing a lack of accent. Eva Mendes is in this.
She sure is.
Hasn't done anything in a long time. She's retired.
She is retired. So it was interesting to watch her. I had a lot of thoughts about her actually, like because I hadn't thought about her as an actress in a really long time because I haven't seen her in anything because again she's retired. But like I was really thinking about how I feel like most of her career she was just cast as like the hot love interest who's like, you know, like slightly smart and like kind of independent but not too independent. And it's like how many times have we seen Eva Mendes in this exact role? Like
Pitch, other guys.
I like her. I think she could have done a lot more had she been given the opportunity. I think she was really typecasted throughout like the entirety of the 2000s.
Movie she's not miscast in. Great choice. Another motorcycle-esque movie, A Place Beyond the Pines.
That's right. Yeah.
I just recently rewatched that and I was like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah. Yeah. So like she can do like other role, like she can really act, but I just feel like that time period did not really allow her to do much else.
But you know what? She probably made bank doing it.
Yeah, good for her. Those are big titles. Yeah.
She's also really smart for just like, oh, if you're gonna pay me to just stand around and look pretty, I can do that and make money.
Yeah. I will say though, her and Nicolas Cage are such a bizarre pairing. Those two, like,
Yeah.
I don't think they make any sense together. They have like no chemistry either. And I don't think that's either one of their faults. I just think like the two of them don't make any sense together. One thing that I found really funny is the way that adult version of Eva Mendes's entrance is handled because it's so bad. Like all of a sudden, like there's this massive wide frame of her just like walking in, like she says something, she's like, hey, just walks in. And then we cut to like as Nic Cage is looking at her like, oh my God, it was like my teenage love. Like we cut to like 5 minutes earlier when we were just in our prologue and show a shot of younger Eva Mendes. And it's like, yeah, we know who that is. We just saw that beginning.
You guys killed it with casting because I know who it is without you telling me.
And then she just kind of walks up and is like, hey, how you been? He's like, oh. And then all of a sudden it's like they act like they've been lovers their whole life. And it's like we literally saw him like straight up dip on her and ghost her for like 15 years. And then they reconnected like 2 days ago, but now all of a sudden they are like soulmates. It's weird. It's a weird relationship. I don't know. We could have done a lot more to fix it. Like I like both of them. I don't necessarily think they work. I just don't know what's happening there.
I'm gonna say something positive about the movie.
Sure.
There is one shot in particular that I think it's in the trailer. It's the big moment of the movie. He's driving a motorcycle up a building. I just like the way the camera goes up and around him, and I think the camera falls as he swings his whip around. Just visually, that was wild. It's the most exciting like visual action piece, but then everything else just is kind of boring.
I agree. I think that is some pretty cool action. Unfortunately, time has not been on the side of the visuals in this movie. The ghost face, the ghost skull with the fire looks really bad. Like it was created in like paint, you know, like like so pixelated and like just like yikes. But you can't blame the movie for that. It might have been the best it was in 2007, but
it
now
was the best it was in 2007. You know why I know that? Because when I watched the Spirit of Vengeance, the sequel, it looks better.
I'm sure. What year did Spirit of Vengeance come out?
2011.
Okay. Yeah. So a few years to allow for technology to, come up.
They also changed the look of him. So his skull is black, as if
Ooh.
it's been charred constantly by the fire. Great choice. That way we don't have that stupid bright white skull. It actually looks like normal.
Yeah. Yeah, because that white skull does not look wonderful. It looks kind of hokey.
Speaking of unrecognizable faces, did you notice any young actresses in this movie that are now somewhat of leading ladies now?
I sure fucking did. Rebel Wilson.
I had to rewind it and the way, does anyone look familiar? No. Why are we rewinding this?
It's bizarre because she's in like full goth girl outfit.
Yeah, it's hard to recognize her.
Yeah.
I knew going in that she was in this.
I had no idea. I did not know.
I knew it, but I had forgotten. But when it gets to her, I'm like, I already know that. I'm like, oh my god,
she's so young, like so young and so gothy. It's so interesting.
She's got to be 18.
Yeah,
younger.
like just starting out.
She's a baby.
While we're still on the topic of our cast, I just want to touch on the character that weirdly has a lot of presence in this movie, even though he's not one of our main leads, and that's Sam Elliott. So I like Sam Elliott a lot, and I think he makes a lot of sense for this world. So at first, Sam Elliott's entrance is super weird because he like works at a cemetery. He's like keeps an eye on the exact vibes of Pet Cemetery at first. That's like Sam Elliott, like, I wouldn't go there now. You know, it's really weird. It's at a cemetery, and out of like no reason, truly, Cage just like trusts him and right away is like, yeah, let's bro down. By the way, I'm like, you know, I'm a ghostwriter. It's just weird as hell. And Sam Elliott's just like, yeah, bro, I get it.
I'm also a ghostwriter.
Turns out I'm also a ghostwriter.
Is there more? Like, I thought the devil just need one. If he's got so many.
Well, I think Sam Elliott's retired. See, that was weird too, because like at the end, when Sam Elliott does his little ghostwriting, he just kind of like walks Cage to where the bad guy's gonna be. Like he just kind of like ushers him over there and is like, all right, well, that's all I get to do nowadays, so bye.
I will say I do not remember how this movie ends because I might have mentioned before, I rented this from the library. Right as he was about to defeat our antagonist, the DVD scratched and it skipped ahead and I didn't see how it ended.
Oh no. So our villain is defeated because Cage and Eva Mendes just keep shooting their pew 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 guns.
They have guns?
Yeah.
He has a chain. Why does he have a gun?
Because guns are a lot easier to wrap up a movie.
Why is she involved in this? Wasn't she a reporter?
Yeah, but she shows up. I don't know. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna tag along.
This movie didn't know what it was doing.
It really didn't know. But yeah, that's how the like
I get to write a movie? Oh, good.
Yeah, they just shoot at him a lot, and then Ghost Rider finally ends him by he looks him straight into the eyes. Just does one of these stares, and that does some kind of magic that ends him after shooting him a lot. I do want to say my favorite part of the ending was Eva Mendes looks at Nicolas Cage and goes, and I don't know the context, I don't remember, but she looks at Nicolas Cage and goes, "You got your second chance." That's our show. We're giving this a second chance. Hey.
Nice.
Yeah, that's all I care about.
Fucking sick, ending. Bro.
Sick, bro.
I think there's no better time, but let you know, Spirit of Vengeance.
Yeah.
Was almost the same.
Okay.
It just has slightly better graphics. I'll read the plot via IMDb. Johnny Blaze, tortured by the Ghost Rider's curse, gets a chance of redemption through protecting the devil's son, whose father is pursuing him. So the devil's trying to chase this boy down and get a hold of him, and Cage is just, trying not to let that happen. Visually, there's better special effects. There's a few better action sequences, but it's also the early mid 2000s, or I guess this is 2010s. So we weren't killing it with special effects. A lot of nothing happens. Idris Elba is kind of in it at the beginning. You think he's going to be a big part, and then he just dips for most of the movie and comes back barely to kind of like give him a good word of advice, and then he dips. I was expecting him to be another Ghost Rider, like buddy for him to like partner up with.
Yeah.
Because I think he was coming hot off the wire.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
And I think at the time, I had no idea who Idris was. So now that I know who Idris is, I'm more inclined to watch this, but no, we don't need to.
Who from, if anyone else besides Cage from the first one is in this? Is Eva Mendes in too, or?
She is not.
Okay.
I don't believe mention her at all. If they do, I don't remember it. It was quick. Cage is the only one that's back from the original.
Okay.
One of our writers for this one is Scott M. Gimple of The Walking Dead. So
yeah.
So you know you're getting some good gold. I do think that the look of not Johnny Blaze, but Ghost Rider is better because he does have the charred face. The graphics are a step up, but like it was still just as boring as the first one in my eyes. So if you've seen one, you've seen them both. There's better superhero movies to watch. So I'm gonna skip ahead and let you know I wouldn't give it a second chance.
I wouldn't either. Like, sorry.
We have so many better Nic Cage movies.
Yeah.
And better Marvel movies. So watch something else.
I agree. I think, oh my God, like just in the last couple years, Nic Cage has been making like amazing movies with like, you know, small time budgets, like all of that. Those are way much worth your time than like this. I think there's probably something to it that this might have been a paycheck for him, which like whatever. I personally think that the overall concept of Ghost Rider is pretty cool. I like the idea of the devil having a bounty hunter. I also like the cool like mixing of like gothic mysticism with cowboy energy. Like that's really cool. So it's like the components are there to make something really unique and fun and exciting, but they in execution, I don't know what happened here. It's just not it. One of the most boring superhero movies I've ever seen, and it's like, yeah, the most bland Nicolas Cage movie I may have ever seen. And let's hope we get a new updated Ghost Rider, because that'd be sick.
I do think the MCU is gonna give us a better Ghost Rider.
I hope so, because again, the concept's rad. It really is. We could do some cool things here.
He's also one of the big characters that we haven't used yet. Him, Silver Surfer. There's like Doctor Doom. We got stuff that are there in the pipeline.
Well, thank you for listening to another episode of Second Chance Movies. As always, you can find us wherever you listen to your podcast. You can also find us on YouTube for a visual episode. And while you're there, please rate, review, subscribe, do all the things. It really does help us. I know every creator asks you to do it, but it goes a long way. Let us know if there's a movie that you want us to cover, because like Ghost Rider, we will watch it for you. You can also find us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, all the things if you want to keep the conversation going over there. A big thank you to Beaty McBeatface for our super dope theme song. And yeah, we'll be back again soon with another Second Chance movie.
Second Chance Movie.